Here's what I want you to do. Do me a big favor. Bring your excuses. Tell me why you can't do it. Tell me why you don't have time. Tell me why you don't have energy. Tell me why you don't have the resources. Bring all those excuses because I got backing today. I feel really, really courageous today because I got my man, Gary Oakley, right here. He is going to crush all your excuses. So bring them to the table. When you hear this story, it is going to, it's just absolutely amazing. And it's all about what this show's all about. Okay, Gary Oakley. So you are, give me your tagline. Changing lives
by the mile.
Changing lives by the mile. And your foundation. I'm not even going to pretend that I'm going to be able to read this all. So give it to us, Gary.
Well, the easiest way to say it is go forward.
Okay.
But the whole mouthful of syllables is the Gary Oakley Gaining Forward Momentum Foundation.
Woo! See what I mean? I wasn't even going to try and do that.
But just go forward.
Going Forward Foundation, the Gary Oakley Going Forward Foundation. We're going to talk about that, but let's bring them a little bit. What we do here is we bring them a little bit behind the black curtain. We want to share with them where this all started, where you were born and raised, right?
Okay.
Where you're at today and where you see yourself going. And we're going to chunk this down and we're going to pull those golden nuggets out, man. You ready?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So, Gary, where were you born and raised?
Okay, I was born and raised in Decatur, Illinois.
Oh, Midwest boy.
Yes.
All right.
About geographically about halfway between Chicago and St. Louis.
Okay.
And for those of you who are baseball fans,
okay,
that part of the world, you were either generally a Cardinal fan or a Cub fan. I can't believe I'm saying that word. But anyway, if you're smart, you're a Cardinal fan.
Okay, that almost sounds like the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Yes, sir.
That's the McCoys and the Hatfields right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But grew up in Decatur. Did all of my early years in Decatur. That's where I graduated from high school.
So I'll do real quick though, because we're going to go back to that. It's going to be a lot of fun for me. So you weren't able to say world champs? You weren't able to find you? No? All right.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
I was just checking, man. I know. It's like, I'm a Steelers fan, so it's like the Ravens. I can't even go there.
Well, bear down Chicago Bears. That's all I know.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
The original home of the Bears, by the way, is Decatur, Illinois. They were known as the Decatur Staleys.
Really?
For the first year that they were in what became the National Football League.
Kidding. Okay,
yeah.
I never knew that.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
And George Hallis, after the first year, took them to Chicago. Bought them from a company called A.E. Staley for $5,000 back in the day.
Look at you, man. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Do I love sports or what?
Right here.
Or got me in.
It
got me in plenty. I'll tell you that.
It depends how you look at it, right?
Yes, sir.
But the 85 Bears, man, you were a happy guy. Huh?
Oh, they were awesome. Had an opportunity to meet Richard Dent very briefly last January.
Wow.
So that was exciting for me.
That's awesome. So you're born and raised in the Midwest. You're a sports guy.
Yep.
Growing up in high school, how was school for you? Were you a good student?
I had to work at it, and initially I was not real happy about school.
Right.
In fact, I will, if I can, I'll share a story with you.
Yeah.
When I was grade school age, didn't like school at all. Hated it.
No, man, I can relate.
And was always looking for a way to get out of it, frankly.
I can relate.
So anyway, I learned somewhere when I was about 7, 8, 9 years of age that you could quit school at 16.
Really?
And that was my grand design in life. I was going to quit school at 16. Well, my parents, thankfully being who they were, would always say to me, well, how are you going to support yourself? Well, guess what? I had an answer for them.
All right.
I was going to be garbage man.
All right.
And this was back in the day when they didn't have what they have now.
They sat on the back of the truck.
Yeah,
they sure did. I remember.
Yeah. So I was going to be garbage man, and after a hard day at work in my truck, I even had my ride picked out for after work.
All right.
I was going to have a Thunderbird station wagon. Now, what I didn't know is they didn't make Thunderbird station wagons.
But in your mind they did.
Yeah, but I went from there to when I got to junior high, middle school. there was a teacher that knew some things that motivated me.
Okay.
And I went from a point where being a garbage man wasn't going to be enough.
Okay.
I got real interested in politics.
So what did the teacher, how did the teacher change your thought process, your life? Really?
You know, he changed my life from the standpoint of, he knew I loved sports, and he knew I loved being out and rolling around in the dirt, having baseballs thrown at me, whatever. And when I got to 8th grade, I was talking to him one day, and I said, you know, I don't want to just go to school. I want to get involved with something. Well, he happened to be an assistant football coach, and he said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. He said, I will make it possible for you to go to the games with us, to keep statistics, call it all in, etc. But the bottom line is, you gotta make it to school. You gotta keep your grades.
Great.
Yep. And if you don't do it, you're done.
Okay.
And that was a big motivator.
So I'm a big guy on your why. So that was your why, right? You identified your why.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from there, got real interested in politics. I've had the privilege, as a result of all of that, to meet 3 presidents, now former presidents.
Wow.
And let's see. Yeah, 2 of them are gone. I met President Nixon.
Okay.
I met President Ford, and have had the privilege for the last several years to go to Plains, Georgia, and do a 5K every year in Plains, Georgia, which is the home of President Carter.
Wow.
He gives out the awards every year, and for a number of years I was pictured on an entry form with him that was mailed out to people that were interested in doing the 5K.
Wow. How did you get the connection with the politicians?
Just told somebody that I wanted to get involved in community and making a difference. Yeah. And some people, when I was very young, gave me an opportunity to do just that. I campaigned for some local people, and they made sure I got to go to a lot of events that fundraisers and those sorts of things that if it were not for them, I would never have had the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But also, and I love to share our message in with people's stories, because it's always the same recipe, different ingredients. Right. But also, make no mistake, it's because he kept taking the action. See, when he takes that massive, effective action, I always say it becomes magical, right? The people and the circumstances start to come into your life. And who would have ever thought, right? Get the best Hollywood screenwriters, they weren't going to write that for you. All of a sudden, now you're rubbing shoulders with 3 presidents of the United States, and still doing it today because you took that action, created that opening. You know?
Absolutely.
So a lot of people mistake, they think, wow, he's lucky. No, it's not luck. You create your own luck. Would you agree?
I think that's a lot of it, and I also think that. And I believe very strongly that if you're in there pitching and you're giving it the best you can, and people see that, we're drawn to each other.
Energy.
Yeah, people, we want to help each other. And if people have dreams and goals and ambitions, if you're even taking the first step, and sometimes we don't know what else to do other than that. Take the first step. Because you know what, we got to start somewhere. Yep.
You crawl before you walk sometimes.
Yep.
And life always says you got to earn it.
Yep.
If you're not willing to earn it, you don't deserve it.
Yep.
So now you're into the political world. You're connecting with people. Now what?
Ended up going. Went to undergraduate school at Illinois State University.
Okay.
My degree is in political science, believe it or not.
All right.
And I was interested at the time. This was back during I don't know if it was the middle of the Cold War or toward the end of the Cold War, but was very interested in what people then call comparative government. So I was interested in things like, how did things operate in the Soviet Union? How did things operate in China? How did someone like Gandhi motivate people to take action really fast? And even there will be people who won't be happy with this, but was even fascinated by Fidel Castro and how, how did he move people to do what
I love
they
this,
did.
man. I love this.
Yeah.
So what did you find? What were some of the common denominators?
They just, I'm not sure if I know what the common denominators are, except they were just drawn to somebody who laid it all out there on the line.
And also we were talking about energy, also the energy that they bring and leaders,
Yes.
right? And it has nothing to do whether or not you agree with what they did and
That's
if they're
right.
using it for bad reasons, whatever that is, that has nothing to do with it, but it's the energy that you bring to the table, right? Can you command?
And it's you know what, they discovered their passion.
Yes.
They discovered their passion.
Yeah.
And they took it and they ran with it.
Yeah.
And that made them game changers. Now, whether you agree with their
Exactly.
philosophy or not, doesn't matter.
Right.
It's just what did they do? And they discovered their passion and they moved on it.
Yeah, and it really goes back to a lot of everything that I share maps to one thing. It maps to your self-image. And I always believe that you could build your self-image up, you could tear it down, but you cannot outperform it. And again, when they bring that energy to the table, that commanding energy, people will follow.
Yes.
People will, like Hitler.
Yes,
right?
yeah, and that's a great
Saddam
example.
Hussein.
And that's a great example.
Right.
And again, I don't like what they did. Don't misunderstand.
But let's even go a little bit deeper on that, right? Understand, we're talking about leadership 101. They brought those things to the table, but here's where a lot of people fall down, and history backs us up on this. Dictatorship versus leadership does not last. So when it becomes leadership and then turns into dictatorship, history tells us it's not a long-lasting game plan. But a leader really creates more leaders.
Right.
Some of the people we're talking about, Hitler and Saddam Hussein, they weren't trying to create more leaders because they were coming from a fear-based mentality. They wanted dictatorship, so they did it under fear, right?
And you know what? And not only fear, but it was about them.
Exactly. Not giving back.
It was about them, and not about giving back, not about paying it forward. And when you're a leader and you're a game changer, you want to pay it forward.
And let's do a polar opposite of that. And see, this is, first of all, two things. We're not G-rated here, so everything's on the table. Secondly, I live my life this way, Gary. I live my life in intention. If my intention is pure and I use a word or a sentence that offends somebody, that's on them. I'm going to give the polar opposite of what we just talked about. I believe one of the greatest leaders in our time, when we look back in history, 50, 100 years from now, Rudy Giuliani. Is an absolute phenomenal leader in our time. People, if you do some read up on Rudy Giuliani before 9/11, what he did for Manhattan, what he did for New York, what he did to clean things up, what he did for the police department, the fire departments, and the things that the courage it took to break through the organized crime and everything. I mean, my man stepped up and said, "We're taking you down," and that. I'm from the East Coast, and you're going. Yeah, he did better.
He did phenomenal things as a U.S. attorney. Phenomenal things.
But just a real leader, 101. So again, leadership versus dictatorship. Dictatorship is not going to last, but leadership absolutely is going to last because you're giving. You're coming from a courageous state, and you want to build more leaders, not followers. So is that?
Absolutely, and I don't profess to have anybody want to do it exactly the way I would do it. Find your own path, find your own passion, and build your own game plan.
Yeah.
But if there's something that I can do or we can do to light a spark in somebody to say, hey, I may not be giving myself enough credit here. And the thing I think I get more frustrated about than anything is when people won't even give themselves enough credit to try. Just try. But take the first step.
Right, but you know why that is? It all maps to one thing: your self-image. Right? I always say the greatest gift you can give a child, an adult can give any child, is a bulletproof self-image, because you just cannot outperform it. Dr. Maxwell Maltz, man, I mean, his whole philosophy was all about self-image. It's just genius, and it really comes down to that, right?
Well, and kids, and oftentimes kids are better about it than we are as adults, because we listen to all the noise.
All the outside noise, right?
We listen to all the noise.
Exactly. Especially the little kids before they're tainted, if you will, right?
Absolutely.
And here's the other thing that people have to understand is their subconscious is open like a sponge. So what you tell them, they believe. That becomes their conditioning. That becomes their story, right? You don't have that degree. You're not smart enough. You're too fat. You're too skinny. You're intelligent. You're beautiful. You know, we're proud of you. Either way that goes, that's going to become their conditioning. Then when they become adults, they're going to figure out, is it working for them or is it not?
Yeah, right.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. Right. And you know, it makes me think back to the scene in Pretty Woman where Richard Gere and Julia Roberts are laying in bed, and he starts to talk about her and how you have so much potential, and she says the negative is so much easier to believe.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
And that, because that's what we're barraged with most. We're barraged with more negative than we are fed with positive.
For the most part, absolutely. And then, but there's also a point where you have to take ownership, right?
Absolutely.
When you become an adult, listen. You don't have to keep the news on. You don't have to. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that.
Change your channel.
Or just turn it off.
Change your channel or turn it off.
Or turn it off. And that's interesting that you went there about that movie, because you know, a lot of people will, when they talk to you, they have a laundry list of. You ask them, what do they want? What do you want? What do you truly want, right? And they'll give you a laundry list of what they don't want. So what I tell them to do is make that list, right? And then draw a line down the center. And then on the right-hand side, everything you tell me you don't want, do the polar opposite, and then throw that left-hand list out, right? Now you have everything you do want, and they just didn't realize that they could get there that simply, that simple. So I think you're right. People are so focused on negative, and I never thought of it that way. It's so much easier, right?
Well, and you know what? There are a lot of people out there who love drama and what does one say? I'm not sure what the word is, but they love living off other people's misery.
Because they're, you know what they are? They're the people on the sidelines, right? They're the people that are afraid to get in the game, afraid to get dirty, but they have all the answers, right? And I always say, stay on the sidelines because you're in everyone's way.
Well, frankly, that makes me think of a race that I was in several years ago, and I was out running, and there was a person standing on the street, and he's yelling out, come on, this ain't hard, and I'm thinking, okay, well then why am I out here and you're over there?
Exactly.
Exactly.
But if you think about this too, the ones that are the doers, right? You get to a point where you feel bad for them, because guess what? When today's over, you can't get that back. And it's so quick. Even if you live a long life, like a full life, like I'm 50 years old. If I live a full life,
baby.
But think about this, right? If I live a full life and 80, 90 years old, I'm in third quarter. I'm going to be in my third quarter, right? It's over. So I can't believe I even got here. I got here this quick.
You just made. My best friend, longtime partner in crime, oftentimes says we're on the back nine. And see what that says to me is you can't sit. I mean, there'll be plenty of time to sit, to lay, when we're on the other side of things. So you got to attack. You got to attack life.
I love that, man. I love that.
I mean, because it's. My mother always used to tell me, the older you got, the faster it goes. Well, I used to think that it was just a speeding locomotive. Well, now it's a one-way freight. I can't believe that. In 2 weeks we're talking about December 2016, and then the week after that, we're talking about January 1, 2017.
Right.
And it's gone.
That's so right. I just was talking about that. Look how quick 2016 is here and gone.
Yeah.
When you blink that eye. So if you're fortunate enough to live a long quality life,
Yep.
man, don't blink your eye.
Well, and if I tell people all the time, if I start sitting and stop doing, you might as well dig the hole.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, it's over. It's over.
Put a fork in him. He's done.
Yeah.
You know, I talk about fear barriers and how to crush those fear barriers all the time, and that's
well, and you know, the one thing that I think everybody needs to understand is we all have some.
Exactly.
Everybody's got something.
Not only that,
please don't. You know, I would want to be very clear is that don't think that I don't have things that are difficult for me, because that's not true. You know,
100%, because struggle equals strength.
Yeah.
All day long.
Yeah.
And I was glad you were talking about that. But you know, because people know me as the fear barrier guy, I always get this question on the podcast.
For it.
They go, "What are you afraid of then? What's your biggest fear?" And for me, Gary, there's not even a second place. You know what my biggest fear is? Getting to the end, whether it's today or 50 years from now, looking back and saying, I should have tried that. I should have went for that. Regret is my biggest fear. Yeah. And I think when people can start to use that as fuel, use that as your propeller, man, you can get so much done in this short period of time we have here. Yeah. So let's talk about your foundation. Okay. What's going on, and how did this even come to, and where are you at with it?
Okay. Well, I'm not as far along with it. Let me just say I'm not as far along with it as I would like to be.
We never are.
But I think the easiest way to tell a story is just to say that I'm a distance runner.
Okay.
And I have run anything competitively from 2 miles to full marathons. I've done 5 marathons in my life, including 3 in New York.
Man, I'll tell you, God bless you.
And
man, I couldn't do it.
I mean, there are people out there that are doing that every day, and God bless them that they're doing it there. But I think the thing that makes my story, so to speak, so compelling is that I have cerebral palsy. Okay. I was a 3-pound preemie when I was born, back in the day when they basically threw you in an incubator and they prayed. Thankfully, I mean, they know so much, with the technology we have now, they know so much more than they did at the time that I was born. But I went through this thing where I didn't walk right away, and when I did walk, I was up on my toes. I had crossed eyes that are very typical with CP, or can be. Okay. But fortunately for me, my folks. Let me back up. I think there are 2 ways that they could have looked at life for me. One was to say, this is Gary Oakley, my disabled son. Right. Or fortunately for me, the course that they took, they said, this is Gary, my son.
And you want to know something? Let's go a little bit. I'm gonna share something and tie this in, right? Because this is really what it's all about. Life always gives you choices, right? And all his parents did was look at it in a different perspective. Yeah. That's all they did, right? But from the outside, you say that's all they did, but that was the fuel, right? That was the gas on the fire, because they decided to look at it that way. Yep. And I will tell you, I'm going to put you in touch with a friend of mine, Danny Bedford, and I'll share that story with you. Cerebral palsy. Okay. When he was born, his dad could hold him in the palm of his hand. Yep. And we have his YouTube video on our website, and he made the high school swim team.
I can't wait.
Badass. Badass.
Yes.
Badass, brother. So I love that you talked about that, because it's all about perception. Yep. How do you see it, right? That becomes your reality. Yep. So they embedded in you, hey, listen, there's only one way to look at this. You're just Gary. That's it. And let's roll with that.
And the greatest compliment that I get in life now, when people have heard that I distance run or whatever it is that I'm doing, if somebody says, says to someone that I know he's doing that, and they say, well, that's just Gary.
Right.
You know, that's the greatest compliment that, you know, because they're just looking at you for you.
Yes.
Because we all have some things, right?
Absolutely.
I walk around with a gait that sometimes people ask if I've had a stroke or something of that nature. But so some of the things that I'm dealing with are obvious. Okay, you can see them, but there are lots of people, more people than we'll ever know, that are walking around in there and they're hurting on the inside. They're struggling. They've got their own things, but you can't see that. But that doesn't make them any less real, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't conquer them.
100%. Right.
Yeah.
This is our one ride. It reminds me of, I don't know if you ever saw the speaker that he travels all over the world. His name is Nick.
Nick Wojcik.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he has no arms, no legs,
wonderful.
and just a torso. And he says after he gets done speaking, people come up to him, they want to meet him and everything else, and they'll be people that look like me and you. We walk up and they say, man, how can you be so positive? And he goes, how can you be so negative?
Yeah.
Talk about checking somebody. I mean, the man has no arms, no legs. He was born that way. And look what he's able to do with his life. But I love that response.
Well, and you know what? It just struck me again.
Yeah.
Yesterday, it takes so much more energy to be negative than it does to be positive, and it drains you. It drains you physically. It drains your spirit. It drains your soul.
It's an energy vampire.
Yeah.
It sucks the life right out of you.
It sucks the life right out of you.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know how much more time I have left.
I know.
But the most important thing to me is to pay it forward. And not only to pay it forward because people have been so good to me in my efforts, but also to make a difference in my corner of the world.
Yep.
You know, I mean, if there's something that I can do that when I've gone on, that people said, well, he did what he could to make the world a better place.
You know, Gary, I love that. I did a video on this not long ago. It's called, I always, listen, if you're not here to leave a legacy, whatever that definition is for you, right? Whatever that is, then why are you here?
Yeah.
Then why are you here?
Yeah.
If you're not striving to leave a legacy, whatever that is, whether that's the best father, right? Whether that's the best business owner, whatever that is, whether it's the best mother in the world, right? Yeah. Or the best grandma. But if you're not striving for that, whatever that legacy is for you, really, why are you here?
Yeah. Well, and if you're not sure how to do that, ask for help.
Right. Exactly.
You know, I mean, again, if you go to somebody that and say to them, I need help with this, because we're not meant to do it by ourselves.
No.
I mean, that's why God gave us each other.
And there's no self-made.
No.
Self-made is all ego-driven. Nobody's self-made.
Nobody.
You can't.
Nobody.
It's impossible. It's literally.
You can say what you want if you're out there reading your own press, so to speak. But you didn't get to that point by yourself.
You know, I have a chapter of that in my program that I have online, and one of it's called Self-Made. Right, is inaccurate. It's not correct, and I give examples of celebrities. Right now, we're talking about Donald Trump, and I don't care if you like him or not. It has nothing to do with it.
No,
but he wouldn't be able to build the empire without the contractors, without the realtors, without the people that want to buy that property. Right, without the architects, Oprah Winfrey, without her production team, without her TV station, without her audience. What does she have?
Yeah, and I tell people. When I talk with them individually, and I've had the privilege to do some conferences and that kind of thing, I will always say, surround yourself with a supporting cast.
Yes.
You know, you You need those nuts and bolts for the structure you're trying to create.
Yes, and even deeper than that, right? Is not only that, is I always say enhance your weaknesses so you can double down, triple down on your strengths, right? And I always look to enhance my weaknesses. Now I got a laundry list, so it's real easy for me. But
you got a laundry list, I got a whole boatload.
There you go. We're in good company, my man.
Yeah, baby.
So before we move on to where the foundation, I want to ask Marion. Marion, did anybody jump on with some comments or questions?
Oh yeah, Chris Ripka.
My man, Big C, awesome podcast. This would be a great guy. I'm going to hook you up with. Jump on his podcast. You can do it right from your home.
Okay.
Awesome guy.
Great.
Ex-military. Thank you for your service, big man.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, the truth is who you are at the core.
It's everything.
Absolutely, that's everything.
Authenticity.
That's everything.
I always say now with the social media, authenticity is the new commodity.
Well, and fortunately for me, I've had people tell me they like hanging around because I'm real, and you know that again, that's one of the highest compliments that you can receive is that you're real. I mean, whether they agree with you or not,
doesn't matter.
You know, it doesn't matter. And you know what? Sometimes I share stories, make presentations, and I just basically share what I'm feeling based on living a life. And you know, I'm at a point where whether you agree with me or not, it's okay. But maybe by being out there and doing what I'm doing, maybe I've planted a seed so that you at least say, well, maybe I need to take a look at this.
A perspective.
Yeah.
Just a different perspective.
Yeah.
Man, I might even bring this guy as a co-host, man. I'm digging this. I love the energy. So absolutely, it's about perspective, right?
I love it.
And at the end of the day, you know, people say when you're out there in the social media and you're giving a lot of motivation, you know, you always hear sometimes, well, you know, you've really motivated me, or you've changed my life, or you've done this. And I always say, no, I haven't done anything, right? You're the one that needs to take the action. That's on you. I'm just a student sharing what was taught to me. Mm-hmm. And what I always tell people when I do my keynotes, listen, I'm just going to set the stage here. Take what works and throw out the rest.
That's right. That's exactly. Or modify it.
Right. Whatever works.
I mean, you can massage it and make it work maybe too. You know.
Exactly.
So that's okay.
There's different ways, man.
However it works.
As long as you get there.
Yeah. Just get there and give yourself the credit. Man, take the steps, make your journey.
Right. Just go.
Go for it. And go. You know, I want to go for it until I take my last breath.
My man.
And I will tell you a story.
Yeah.
I learned this from a young man who is now 22, I think. But I met him when he was 5, and I was going through a situation where I was really struggling. I had broken my back, and they had done some surgery, and it wasn't going well. In fact, I, at the time, was the vice president of a small St. Louis-based employment training firm, and I was spending so much time in the doctor's office, etc., that I had to give it up.
Yeah.
And I think, particularly for men, oftentimes we feel like we're defined by what we do.
Oh, no question. No question about it.
And so anyway, when I gave this up, I was in the doctor's office 4 and 5 days a week, and I was struggling to make the co-pays on my insurance. So long story short, I got a job working with the YMCA with their morning preschool program with kids, and I would come in with a walker, and people were very kind to me, and they'd say, "Well, how are you doing?" And more often than not, I must have said I hurt. And young Ben, at the age of 5, he came in one day. I don't remember whether it was with mom or dad, and they said, "How you doing?" And I must have said I hurt. And Ben looked at me, and he said, "Gary, we know you hurt." And that changed my life. I'm telling you because I thought if that's all the perception that people have of you, you need to change some things. And so now, I mean, there are people. I deal with chronic pain every day because I've been running. When I was marathon training years ago, I was introduced to a car and driver, 55 miles an hour. Yeah. I broke my back. I was flipped over by a semi in a rear end collision. All kinds of stuff.
It's a rough paper road.
Yeah. But anyway, what I decided was based on what he said to me was that I know that there are people even now. They know if I'm having a tough day. I mean, my body will not lie. And but what he did was he made me understand that it's okay that there are people who know that I'm having a tough day, but for the rest of the world, you know what? It's all good.
Right.
You know.
Right. He kind of, I always say it's hard to see the picture inside the frame, right? And you didn't realize that was what you were giving off.
Oh no, not at all.
So what that 5-year-old little boy, talk about this gift, right? Just said, hey Gary, victims never win.
Yeah.
Let's do it, and because you couldn't see the picture inside the frame, right?
Yeah.
It didn't connect with you until he brought you outside of that frame and said,
well,
oh,
you know what? I lost sight of my own value. I lost sight of my own value.
Right.
For him, the most he didn't care that I had that walker. He didn't.
Right.
What he wanted was he wanted me to be there to play with him
and feel better. Right.
And I was giving him the whole world, and I didn't know it.
And you want to know what a great lesson this is? Really, this is a great lesson for parents out there, teachers, coaches. You can learn from anybody. A 5-year-old, right? Talk about, and they will tell you exactly how they feel and exactly what it is.
I know.
That's the real. I love that.
He is my mentor to this day. With one line, and he says I'm his mentor.
Right. That's just the way it works.
Yeah. He calls me rock star.
That's you, and you are, my man.
Yeah.
You are. I love that energy. You remind me of this story, and I always jack this story up, but you'll get the point of it. Is there's an old man, and he's sitting in a chair, in a rocking chair, and he's at the end of this. He's at the beginning of this town, the entrance of this town. Mm-hmm. A man walks up to him and says, hey, I just moved from my other town, my old town. I'm looking for a new town. How is this town? The old man says, how was the town you left? He said, oh man, it was horrible. Everyone talks about one another. There was drama everywhere. I have to get out of there. It was so toxic. He says, oh man, that's exactly how this town is. Really? Oh man, thank you so much. I'm not going to stop here. A few days later, another guy comes up, says, hey man, I'm looking for a town. He says, I see this town here. How is this town? He says, how is the town you were from? He goes, oh, it's beautiful. He says, everyone got along. Everyone went to help each other. You couldn't do enough for one another. He says, but I'm just looking to move on. He says, come on in. It's exactly how this town is. So it's the energy that you give out, mm-hmm. right? And that's why you've said to me 3 times now, in different times, that people have been so nice to you, right? They've been so gracious to you,
yes.
Because that's what you give off. That's your energy. So you're the guy looking for that new town, but yeah. you're the guy that came from that beautiful town, and that's why you find yourself in that beautiful town every time you move. Yeah. So you can't escape the energy. People want to move because they want to start over. Yeah. They don't realize that it starts from in here.
Yeah.
So does that relate?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Love that.
Well, and my wife Cheryl and I have been here in the area for not quite 3 years now, and we love it here.
Man.
And again, well, everywhere at least I've been. People have just been tremendous.
There you go.
And,
right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's no mystery. It's because the energy that you give off, it's who you are that attracts those, right? If you decided that everything was horrible and toxic, believe me, they'll come out of the woodwork and meet you. Right? It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But let's, Marion, anybody else jump on with comments or questions before we move on?
Oh, yeah, Cindy MK said, great show today, fellas.
Cindy, I heard about her. Cindy, thank you. Anybody else?
Tom Lagarde says, change the channel or turn it off. Spot on, we can choose to avoid negativity.
100%, man, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And Jasmine Lynn said, hi, Dave. Jasmine here, paying it forward today.
Not a girl, Jazz.
Gloria Medona, she has several remarks, and I'll pick and choose here. When you become an adult, you get to be the driver of your own life.
100%.
Great conversation between you two. Love the interaction, excitement coming out of you both. That's me. Regret missing out on the biggest theater. Long distance running is not my thing. Ha 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 ha.
Me neither, girl. Me neither. That's why I say God bless you, man. With the and everyone has their zen. I did a show on that today. Everyone has their zen, right? Whatever that is.
Right.
The gym is my zen.
Yeah. Well, I see. I love the gym too. I'm big time gym rat. And in fact, that's a lot of what keeps me standing up.
Absolutely.
Let me just say that for me, whether I run another marathon in my life or not, the most important thing I need to do is keep my legs for as long as I can have them, because God gave me the ability to use them, and they're a gift.
Man,
And if you're not, we all, you know what? We all have gifts. We all got them. And if we're not using them, not only are we cheating ourselves and cheating the people around us, we're cheating God.
no question, because you were given it.
Yeah.
And it can be taken away so quickly.
That goes right back. That's why you got to attack life.
Yes.
Because it can turn on a dime. And maybe even and a penny has even a shorter turning radius. So maybe it turns on a penny.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Here's what I love about your energy, man. You have what I call the dynamic duo. You have the hunger and the gratitude. You have the hunger and the gratitude, and when you have that, you can't be beat. It's impossible to be beat, right? Because you're constantly hungry. You want more. You want to grow and expand. And you're always grateful, and to me, that's the ultimate combination. That is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. That combination right there.
My father, at one point when I was struggling with school and particularly numbers,
right.
I hated him. He loved him, and he was working with me one night, and I was probably 12.
Okay.
And he. Let me work through some stuff, and he knew I did it all wrong.
Right.
And then he said to me, "Now we're going to erase and start over." And I'm assuming my response wasn't particularly appropriate.
Right.
And
you're not a happy guy.
And he looked at me and he said, "I'm going to tell you two things. First of all, your mother and I will not be around forever. And secondly, you will never make it to dig in a ditch."
Right.
And,
yeah. Your options are your focus.
And I remember that like it was yesterday. I said I was probably 12 years old.
But it was an aha moment.
Yeah.
It was an aha moment.
Between that and a teacher who told me if you want something badly enough, you'll find a way to get it.
Yep. 100%. You're right. I had a struggle similar to that, but different, right?
Yeah.
I never graduated high school. I was told I was supposed to win. So when I dropped out of high school, my dad said the same thing. That's great. Now what are you going to do?
Yeah.
How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to support yourself? So I got into construction, right? I was a laborer.
Yeah.
Iron workers union, roofers union, concrete, brickwork, and I was mentally, right? I was that elephant in the circus where they tie a rope around its back leg and that's all you think you could do. So interesting how we had the same issues in a way, but different, right? Yours were physical, mine was mental. I thought that's all I could do was be that laborer. I just thought I was that physical guy, right? Not realizing, and someone came into my life, Tommy, that changed it all. But I love, it's interesting that you went there. Let me ask you this real quick. Have you ever written a book? Do you have a book?
I have not.
Okay. What I would love to do, and this is completely up to you, the guy Tom that jumped on Lanagard, we just did a show on him, and here's what, Tom's an attorney, but he also has a side business that he's building, right?
Yeah.
And he interviews people and then puts together biographies for them. And I would love to put you in touch with Tom.
Well, you know what, I had a person, I've had people tell me I need to write.
Oh, listen, man.
But let me, and this is, I guess, maybe this is one of my barriers.
Yeah.
And that is, I'm just really, I want to do it in a way that makes me comfortable. Because I'm glad I have a story to share.
Right.
But it's not about me. It's about the people that surrounded me.
But that's okay. But that's still part of the story.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I had a retired editor, book editor at one point, say to me that you don't need to tell a story. You need to have somebody interview you.
That's what he does.
Yeah. That would be an honor.
That's what he does.
That would be an honor.
That's what he does. And I didn't write one thing in this book, right? All I did was put it on Audacity, which is a software, and I emailed it to my publisher and writer, and she wrote it all, but it came from me. Okay. So what Tom does is he'll interview you for an extended period of time.
Oh my God!
And then put together I would love to put you guys in contact.
Oh my God!
This is what this show's about. So Tom, if you jumped off, I'm going to connect you guys. And he's right here local in San Marcos. Okay. So I want to connect you guys because this has to stay longer than you're going to be here. You're
going to make an old guy cry.
There you go, man. There you go. Marion, anybody else jump on?
Tom is listening to you right now. He's watching.
All right, Tom. So we're gonna connect you guys. Cindy can probably Tom Lanagard and my man Gary. So we're gonna make that happen, my man. We're gonna make that happen. So we're gonna bring that rough paper out right to the forefront, brother. Anybody else, Marion?
Let's see, Gloria and the tormentors. That's why God gave us each other.
That's right. Amen.
Yep. No.
And then, Tom, I told you, and then Linda Hodgson's Soul.
Okay.
Did it start out?
All right. So let's do this real quick. Gary, give us an overview of your foundation and how we can help you, how people can give back.
Okay.
A quick overview.
Okay. I started the foundation as a way to pay it forward. Okay. And my purpose with the foundation is to promote improved health, fitness, and mobility through walking, running, various other activities. Actually have a group in Hemet, San Jacinto area now that we're on a bit of a hiatus right now, but we've got people that are out walking, running, crawling, and we had been doing it on Monday nights. But I just want people to get out and move.
Is this a nonprofit?
Yes.
Is it set up as a?
Yes.
What is that?
501c3.
It's all set up.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. And I'm legal to accept funds in California.
You're
raise funds in California.
Well, you're getting a donation today from Daley International, man. Love it, brother.
Oh my God.
Love it. So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to reshare this, and then you're going to be able to jump on your Facebook, connect with everyone on here, promote and give all your websites, your emails, your phone numbers, everything that you want people to know, how they can help you, right? Where they connect with you, how you can help them. And we're just going to reconnect this, and then we're going to reshare and just blow this thing up.
Okay. The other thing I can tell you is, and I don't advertise widely, but as I mentioned, I've had opportunities to address anywhere from probably 20 people to 1,500 people in various kinds of settings, and I try to make it motivational, but I don't advertise in any formal sense. And I use Cindy's seen. I have a shirt that says "Life is not a sprint; it's a marathon," and that's usually what I call it. And I share what I call the Reader's Digest version of my story, and talk about that in terms of overcoming things that are hard or perceived to be hard. Because it's amazing what people think you know when you walk around with things that are obvious.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure that I know any more than anybody else. But maybe it's like when the Red Sox or whomever go to spring training.
Right.
You know, they go back every year and they spend hours at a time just going back through the fundamentals again.
Yeah.
And maybe what we need to do is just go back through the fundamentals of life.
Absolutely,
You know?
and visit that to create that stronger foundation. At the end of the day, like you were saying, you don't know any more than anybody else, but here's what you do know, is you know what you've lived, you know what your what worked for you, what hasn't worked, and I call that wisdom. And you can't find a classroom, a university in this world that duplicates that, right?
Yep.
That's why if there was an 85-year-old man sitting here, we would both be going, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's right.
All right. Because they've been there.
Yeah.
They've done it, right?
Yeah, that's
Just pick what works for you and throw out the rest.
That's right.
So
That's exactly right.
Let me ask you this, Gary. Before we jump off, is there anything that you want to share before we jump off?
I would just want to say to you, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to everybody out there for allowing both of us to share with you.
Absolutely.
I think you and I already have a bond. And,
100%, no question.
And I'm looking forward to doing some great things. And if there's anything that I can do that would be helpful to anybody that's out there watching this with us, bring it on.
Beautiful. And all you have to do, and I know you're going to do this, once we jump off and we go to share this, you're just going to take the action, jump on, interact, share all your information, how they can reach you, how they can help you, your foundation, and now you're going to make a lot of new friends, man. And I'm going to put you in touch with Tom, because we're going to get this done.
Yeah, baby.
Then we're going to bring you back on.
Okay.
Is that a deal?
That's a deal. And by the way, just knows me even that much, knows me as Yeah Baby. So if I hear somebody say Yeah Baby, or they come back to me with Yeah Baby, I know they know.
Beautiful. That's something else we have in common. So when we end the show the same way every time, you know, Gary, I believe that we can only be in one state of mind at a time. So if you're in victim state, you can't be in gratitude state. And if you're in gratitude state, you can't be in victim state. Would you agree?
That's it. And I would want to make that perfectly clear. You know, people can look at my circumstances and say, "Oh my gosh, my God." You know what? I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. And in fact, I would say to you that if somebody came to me and said, you could take all of this away from you, but you wouldn't have the same people in your life, etc., no thank you.
It's not.
No thank you. I love it just the way I am.
And let's be real clear too. He's not a victim, but he's also not a survivor. He's a thriver. And there's a big difference, right? When you stay in that surviving mode, that's all you're doing. But when you get into that thriving mode, that's what this man's all about. So I always say life always gives us choices, right?
Yeah.
And life says, Gary, do you want to purr like a kitten or roar like a lion?
Oh, I want to roar like a dozen lions.
That's it. That's it. So here's how we end the show every time. And when you said, what was your baby? What?
Yeah,
baby.
Yeah.
All right. I'm known now as Roar Baby Roar.
Oh, right? Yeah, baby.
Roar
Love it.
Roar Baby Roar.
Love it.
This is called the Monster Motivator Roar. Now, the sound is just as important as the pose. You ready? Yeah. Because life says if you could be in that unstoppable state most of your day, how great would that be?
Yes.
And this is what we're going to do. Yeah. So it's going to be like this, right? On 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow.